Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon. Swarm Talk here, brought to you by Section 103 on the Crowded Booth. As we get ready for a matchup that is not only exciting in terms of what could happen on the field, a lot of storylines off the field that I'm going to talk about. But before we do that, we got to let you know. Who do we love? We love them. Section 103, make sure you check it out. Use code Crowded Booth for 10% off your first order. They do a fantastic job, ladies and gentlemen. I am currently rocking a Ramblin' Wreck t-shirt. It's comfortable. They've got stuff for all times of the year, especially in that Atlanta weather. And look, let's just be honest. They got the dry fit. We're also going to be honest, too. Team bookstore lacking a little bit. So check out Section 103. Everything that they do, it's phenomenal stuff. You're going to want to be a part of what they have going on. Like we said, more comfortable than the club seats, and you can use code Crowded Booth for 10% off your first order. All right, let's bring it back to the show. As my name is Bryce Koon. This is the Crowded Booth, but it's Swarm Talk. It's Georgia Tech time. North Carolina on the road. Let's roll.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
So I've got some things that I want to talk about tonight that is away from the traditional preview of a football game. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and I'm going to start off with kind of my thoughts on this game, like where I assume this game to go, what I assume to happen in this game. And we need to be honest. North Carolina, despite their record, has talent on the roster. The lack of a legitimate threat at the quarterback position has hindered their ability to be effective offensively. In turn, it has taken a defense that does have good players and rendered them, I don't want to say useless, but it has rendered them to be non-effective when obviously the moments come up. Obviously, James Madison is the one that everyone wants to sit there and look at and talk about. But this is a team that shouldn't be slept on in terms of what they could do if you don't show up. I do believe that Georgia Tech's the more talented team. I will go ahead and, spill the beans on what my pick will be. I do think Georgia Tech wins this game. And if you watched last night's college football show, you know that I have the Jackets as my best bet. I'm taking them to cover as well. Shout out to Will Mannis to let people know per bet online, that line has dropped. I think it was 6.5 at one point. It's all the way down to 4 flat. And so that's tough. I think Georgia Tech wins this game. Like if that's all you care about is to hop on this show and to hear what I have to say, whether it's a win or a loss, well, you're 5 minutes in. We had a 1.5-minute intro. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home.
So now, seriously, let's actually talk about the stuff about the game that we really want to get here. This game has a lot of factors. This game has extenuating circumstances that come alongside of it. Emotions will be running high, especially in terms of the coaching staff. You have players that might have felt slighted or whatever. I don't just tend to believe. I do actually believe that, I don't just tend to believe. I believe it wholeheartedly. A lot of the drama that might the emotions of the situation are more on the shoulders of the staff rather than anybody that's on the field playing. I think Georgia Tech's a better team. I think that you should win this game. The question for me, and it's what we're going to talk about for the next 25, 30 minutes or so. The question for me is not that should you win it, it's can you. It's can you go win this football game? This program has been brought back from the depths of, let's just call it hell. It's been brought back to this playing ground where they're about even with the middle tier of the ACC schools. To make the jump into where we can confidently say that this team has made good progress is to take care of business where business needs to be taken care of. This is a road trip that you need to treat like a business trip. And we get to our first point here. It's understanding the moment, understanding the situation that is at hand. Look, everyone knows that Jeff Collins is the defensive coordinator. Our friendly fellows, Rec Talk, have let you know that ever since the man was hired up in Chapel Hill. We understand that's a storyline. Jeff Collins said he didn't want to make it about him. Brent Key doesn't want to make it about that. I'll let you think about what happens behind closed doors. But in terms of what's open to the public, this is a game that you have to understand the moment. There could be a lot of adrenaline. There could be a lot of emotion. Georgia Tech's the better team. Play like it. And the way that you play like that is you understand the moment and you don't let yourself get too high emotionally or too low. I don't think there's going to be a problem with being too low in this game. The juices are going to be flying. You obviously want to win this game. It's a road game. We don't know what the crowd's going to be like. I just hopped on a UNC podcast right before we started live tonight, and they kind of mentioned that they didn't think it would be great. It's a noon kickoff. Kind of sad that this program is where it is, in my opinion, just in terms of the strength of the ACC. But all that aside is understand the moment. You don't want to blow this thing to a proportion that it shouldn't be. The fodder of Jeff Collins, the conversations of people saying he ruined the program. Look, I understand you're a fan. That's what your take's going to be. It's okay. That's for fans. But for the players traveling to the game, this needs to be a big business trip. It needs to be to understand the moment. Yes, there might be some type of revenge factor for the fans. That cannot lead you and guide you into battle on Saturday. If it does, that type of stuff can only lead you so far. And look, Georgia Tech has been on the other end of this season already. Fran Brown manufactured, or however you want to put it, some type of beef and used it, and it worked for one game. You have to be willing to roll with the punches when it doesn't go your way. I don't think the smartest decision is to go in there and let's just say you're just full steam ahead of we've got to go beat Jeff Collins. You can't. That's not the right mindset, and I don't think it's an effective mindset to walk into this game with. Understanding the moment is, yes, there's this over big, 30,000 foot view theme of the game that's a talking point for media. It's a talking point for journalists. It's also a talking point on social media for fans. Trust me, I have seen the Georgia Tech side of it all week. I will just say this. You better hope you win the football game. And if you're willing to take it as much as you dish it, then I don't have a problem with it. But you better hope you win the football game. But the players traveling, the staff traveling, that cannot be at the forefront of the mind here. I will tell you this, and talking to not just people in and around Georgia Tech and in and around North Carolina, but talking to people across college football as a whole here, this is I get a phone call real quick. This is a game. This is a matchup where, of course, there's going to be some fist bumping after the fact if you win and you beat North Carolina. Of course there is. And on the flip side, if North Carolina were to be this game, we all know a certain person would be super feeling pretty vindictive. I don't know if that's the right word. It would feel accomplished if they do this. That stuff happens. There was a said coach of the team that I covered from a 9-to-5 basis that watched Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame, and I've got it on very good authority that there was a small fist bump when that final score went down to the double zeros. So there is that type of stuff that happens on college staffs everywhere. But that can't be what leads you into battle on Saturday. Georgia Tech is the more talented team on paper. I do think they're the better football team. I do think they win this game, but you don't win it by having that at the forefront of your mind, by having beat Jeff Collins on the board if you do that. I don't think that's happening. I think that personally, there may be a few players. We've seen the conversations around Jamal Haynes. If you don't know by now, Jamal Haynes was kind of strung along in his recruitment process in terms of when he'd be able to enroll. He also was on the chopping block in terms of being a part of this roster before they moved him over to running back. I'd also like to note, it's kind of being lost on some people, that wasn't just a Jeff Collins decision. It was people who are on the staff currently that wanted to make that decision. So the idea that Jamal Haynes is solely is not is it was wanted to go off the roster because Jeff Collins there is wildly misconstrued, and it's not all the facts. But as we talk about this game, you have to understand the moment. You have to understand what's in front of you. It's an opportunity if you are Georgia Tech, and we'll talk about this. It's an opportunity to prove that you're just not another program that you win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. No, you're a team that can carry over from week to week, stack good days, and stack good performances. They cleaned up a lot of things against Duke last week that I had concerns about. There's still stuff that needs to happen. This is another game that when you look at the game plan, it's not a team that's really going to light you up through the air, although they have one of the best running backs and pure talent in the country in Amarian Hampton. How effective is he without really a semblance of an offense? I don't know. Probably going to be a lot of the same game plan for Georgia Tech in this one we saw last week. Don't let Hampton go wild and force Criswell to beat you. That's probably going to be the extent of this football game. But when you look at what has to happen, you got to be focused. You have to live up to this run defense statistics that you have put forth, which they have been good. You got to live up to that. Just because the numbers by your name means nothing unless you go out there and perform. It's not a knock. It's just saying those numbers have to be backed up. They have until this point. But as we've seen, folks, the numbers next to a name really don't matter a lot if you don't show up. So it's understanding the moment that you have, in my opinion, that's something that's really, really big. Now, let's get to this real quick. Also, there you go. Trevor Jones says, Sam Turner flipped his commit from Tech to Auburn. He doesn't want to have a successful career. Yeah, Trevor, he probably does. I mean, it is what it is. And Kayan says, hope does not win games. It doesn't. Neither does the name or the statistical category that you come in with. College football has shown you, folks, they don't care. This sport doesn't care what your statistical numbers are coming in. Every single Saturday, you have to line up and you have to perform up to the standard. That needs to be, and I believe it is the message coming down to this team, not some let's get revenge for the players that were here under a bad era of college football for Georgia Tech. So understanding the moment's massive. It kind of parlays into the second point. Take advantage of the opportunity. When you look at the rest of the schedule, I can't tell you how it's going to play out. I don't know, and especially in this conference, it is so topsy-turvy. I don't know where this team is going to end up. What I can tell you is that you're sitting at 4-2 with a really good chance to go to 5-2 and be off to one of your best starts in years and have all the momentum in the world to where, at the very minimum, and I'm not saying this is the standard, I'm not saying it is what it should be, at the very minimum, you win this football game, you're not having to play for bowl eligibility in week 13, which is what Georgia Tech had to do last year. They had to beat Syracuse to get there. They had 2 games to get 1 win. You win this one on Saturday, you take advantage of an opportunity to be able to move forward with your season with still a lot of the goals that you wanted and set out to accomplish. College was crazy. I'm not going to rule anything out. You still have a lot of opportunity ahead of you. So you have to seize the opportunity. Another thing of this, and I kind of mentioned it, is that this North Carolina offense isn't necessarily explosive. So, what do I mean by take advantage of the opportunity? Continue to build upon a good defensive performance that like you had last week. Continue to stack a good day, to stack a good week, to where you roll into Notre Dame week, which I do believe you'll be the underdog, as you probably should be in terms of what's on paper, but that you got a really strong chance, in my opinion, of winning that football game too. So take advantage of the opportunity that awaits you this week. It's an offense that doesn't light you up. It's a wounded animal. And the key here is don't let this be the story of the wounded animal that you've backed into a corner and they are fighting for their lives and they win just one battle. And it starts to give them a little confidence. You don't want to be the example. You want to start to set the example for your own program. I think that's the key here. North Carolina is a wounded animal. North Carolina is a team that we're going to have conversations potentially at the end of the year about who's leading that program going into 2025. Don't let this be the reason they gain confidence back for their season. Like I said, don't be the example of what a wounded animal could be. Set the example for your own program that this is a business trip. We're ignoring the outside noise, and you're going to win and take care of business on the road. That, to me, has to be the opportunity. You take advantage of it. And then, for all the Georgia Tech fans that get butt hurt because people don't respect them, it's because typically in these situations, you lay an egg. Typically in these situations, you haven't been consistent enough for the prognosticators, for the experts to sit here and say, hey, you're better. Hey, you are more improved than what we thought. You have taken the next step as a program. You can sit here and say, well, yeah, we should have beat Louisville. Should have beat. Well, you didn't. And now you sit here and you don't want to be saying it the fact, well, we should have beat North Carolina because we are the better team. And while on paper, you might be the better team, when you roll the ball out there, you better be able to win. That's what my thought is. So take advantage of the opportunity. It's exactly what you have to do. And then the third and final point is, outside of this game, I think we're going to learn who this team really is. You're going to learn, is this just another year? Because it's going to set you up for 4-3, and you've got some tough games regardless of what you think about them. NC State probably being your easiest game. But this is a opportunity to, I don't want to say defeat the haters. It's an opportunity to prove people like Jonesy wrong. It's an opportunity to prove the people who are still skeptical wrong, in the sense of we're no longer, we've shed the coat, we've shed the external layer of who we once were, and now we're moving forward into what we believe we can be here. That can all be done by winning this football game, and I think we'll learn a lot about it. People might sit here and say, well, Bryce, what can you learn about a mid-October game between a bad, a middle-of-the-road ACC team and a, bad to average to bad UNC team? Well, you can learn about who you are, how you conduct yourself, and everything I've sat here and talked about tonight. You can learn about who you are. And I do believe, like I've said multiple times tonight, Georgia Tech should win this football game. There should be no ifs, ands, buts about it. You should take care of business. You should go up there. You should win the football game. It should not be in doubt. You are the better team. The question is, can you prove it? And it's going to tell a lot if they don't or if they do. If you don't, then the jury's still out for me on, is there real progress made? Not from 2.5 years ago, but that this program, it would tell me, is still trying to learn how to win, what it means to be the favorite. Because it's a team that has been so up and down with their ability to do that. Here is an opportunity, nameless, faceless opponent. Here's an opportunity to go prove that. And I'm not saying they need to prove it to some guy on YouTube, but I am saying that you need to prove it to people outside of the Georgia Tech sphere if you want to be relevant to people outside of the Georgia Tech sphere. So that's where I sit. I think this is a game. I had the final score, Tech winning this one. My final was 28-17 over North Carolina. I would love to see this offense blow somebody out. It's an offense that in FBS games averages 26 points a game. You add in the VMI score, it goes up to 31. So they're not putting up crazy points. They're being efficient, but they're not putting up explosive numbers. Defensively, it's improved, and I think you're going to be able to limit what they can do. You cannot let you cannot let Amarian Hampton run wild. And even then, he has, and they still haven't been able to beat you in recent years. But Jacoby Criswell cannot get into a rhythm in this game. If he does, you're going to give that quarterback some confidence. You're going to give that fan base a little bit of life, and then you could find yourself on your heels early. The optimal game plan is for Tyler Santucci to dial it up, to force Criswell into uncomfortable situations. They really don't have a number one target. Bryson Nesbitt could present problems for you like other guys have this season with his size and his frame. But you cannot let them get into a rhythm. You cannot let them get into a rhythm. You have to dictate what happens out there. You have to be the enforcer. And I will say this as we round it out. We've heard a lot about getting on a broadcast and saying, run the ball. And we've heard a lot about we want to be physical and all this kind of stuff too. We've also seen this team talk a lot, not the team, certain people talk a lot about it, but not be about it. Here's a chance to talk about it and be about it. Go be the physical team. Go show that you're different and earn the respect of people in the ACC and across the country because you'd be 5-2. That's a solid record. If you'd have told Tech fans at this juncture of the season they'd be 5-2, they're like, okay, yeah, that's progress. 4-3 in the way they'd be 4-3, and especially a loss up there to you know who. You don't want that. You can't have that. So that's where I sit with it. I think Georgia Tech's the better football team on Saturday. I do think that they win this football game. 28-17 is my final. But bottom line, you have to kind of see what happens. You have to enforce things. You cannot be complacent and let things come to you. I'm just telling you, like this North Carolina team is better than what their record indicates. They can make some plays, and this Georgia Tech team has an opportunity to show me that they can show up and win. Right now, and they haven't done for a long time, they can't just show up and win. Got to be emotional. You cannot play into that. You can have emotions, but you can't get so over emotional about something that's a fan-driven type of narrative. That's what it is. That's what it is. My name is Bryce Koon. This is Swarm Talk. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. And obviously, the news dominating the comments over here is that Sam Turner has flipped his commitment from Georgia Tech to Auburn. I'll speak on that. I mean, look, it makes sense. I mean, this is a kid who is a very good talent. Auburn is stacking receivers, regardless of what you feel about Auburn, regardless of what Gavin says about Auburn. It's a program that's got brand recognition, and it's got always has the SEC logo, and it's got money. And they are going to be able to win battles against you based off of that, regardless of record, regardless of what they have done on the field. They're going to be able to do that until there's a track record of two things: them not being good enough, and you being good enough to make that gap come together. I mean, the idea that he can't be successful over there is nuts. It's crazy. And it's saltiness. And I get that. That happens in recruiting from the fan side of things. But we got to be real. That they will win battles. South Carolina, we've seen what they've done with that offensive lineman. Pretty good visit we heard over there. Not saying a flip is coming, but for the people that just shrug it off, why would you want to go there? Well, SEC logo, brand recognition, money. And until you establish a track record of being able to win, that gap's always going to be there. Always going to be there. SDZ Game says win. Just keep winning. Helps all things. Maxwell says Freeze is still doing an awful job with actually coaching, though. I don't. It's not. It's a mess. They need to get to 2025. That 2025 class is pretty special. Georgia Tech, North Carolina. I think the Jackets win this one 28-17. We will be live around 5 minutes post game, so lock it in. Rec Talk. I know you're going to the game. If you want to tune in to our live show, we'll be live 5 minutes after the final whistle with all the reactions. We might even open up the phone lines. It's going to be very, very fun. 38-17 says Mr. Trinova. Tech without a doubt. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure, once again, if you have not already, check out our friends over at Section 103. They do a phenomenal job. And you can use code CrowdedBooth for 10% off your first order today. The Haynes King jersey is sick. The Georgia Tech Brent Key hoodie is awesome. And then the Tech hoodie, I've also got one of those. It's a lot of fun, too. So make sure you get those. You want to be a part of it. Like I said, tune in Saturday night. You like this? You like this, Matt? Is this what you want? You want a little bit of this right here? That's what we have. Going to be a big one. Going to be a fun week of college football. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Folks, we are just 105 subscribers away from 3,000. And look, that's all you have to do. Like, if you want to donate to the show, if you want to do a lot of different things, I appreciate that. We appreciate it. It allows us to do things like have tailgate shows. That's what allows for me to get Will Mannis and Ralph Lurie off their couches and being able to do some stuff. But I will say, if the least you can do, we've had some people do this, is hit that sub button and send the channel to 5 of your friends. Say, hey, if you like college football, check this out. And if you're a Tech fan, check this out too. Get people to hit the subscribe button. Take your parents' phone, just hit subscribe. It helps us in the algorithm. And like the video. It's completely free. It's completely effortless for you to do. It helps us in the YouTube algorithm, and we appreciate you because, like I said, this would not be possible without you and the great community we have. If you want to talk more football, head over to the Discord. We'll be live Saturday post-game, and then once again, Monday night for our wraparound college football show of what happened in week number 7. We appreciate you. It's been fun. We'll open the phone lines on Saturday. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Bryce Koon. Swarm Talk brought to you by the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.